We're out today and we're collecting some lovely juicy lugworm. Now these aren't black lug, they are blow lug or lugworm. They're a different species. Black lug are usually found further offshore, blow lug are usually found closer in. Now here's a little tip for you. In the summer, the bigger blow lug, they go further up the beach, and the reason they do this is for breeding purposes. So the males, the big males, will go right up the beach and then they'll deposit all their sperm basically on top of the sand, and then as the tide comes in, as it retreats, it will wash all the sperm back down the beach and it will go inside the females' holes, and that's how they reproduce. So yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting fact for you there. But I'm using today a 28mm pump. Now this pump is a Shakespeare Alvery. They don't make these anymore. I think they're a fantastic pump. I've had this for years and years. And just a few little key points about the pump. Obviously it's 28mm, that's the bore. Inside it has a couple of washers and it has a wing nut which screws on to this brass alloy here. You've got your handle on the top, you've got your handle on the side, and this is your pressure release valve there. Now a lot of people will lubricate their pump by putting fairy up liquid down here, and that'll lubricate it and make it nice and lubricated. You'll see them, they'll have fairy up liquid in the box and they'll just keep doing it. Now I don't do that. I've tried different methods, but the method that works for me is Brasso. I know it sounds stupid, but I put Brasso in here and I have not had to lubricate this pump for about 5 or 6 years. It's fantastic. I've changed the washers once and it does the trick for me. So what are you actually looking for when you're pumping lugworm? So as you've been walking on the beach, you'll see these, and this is what you're looking for. So inside here now is a worm, and this is its poo, and this is its breathing hole. So as it's sucking the water through in the sand, so it's filtering through the sand, and it's also filtering through the water to get the oxygen out the water so it can breathe. So underneath here we have a nice burrow. Now if you can imagine that like that, that's where they are. So its head's going to be here, its tail's going to be here. So we're going to pump in here and we're going to suck it out. Now in the summer months, they're much higher up in the sand. In the winter, they're much lower. So the warmer it is, the higher they'll be. So if you're used to pumping these in the winter, change your depth, because if you don't change your depth, you're going to keep cutting them, splitting them and gutting them. So we're going to pump quite shallow here because it's summer, and we're hopefully going to get a nice few worm today, which would be good. So here we go, we've got our worm poo, we've got our hole. Now this is how I pump them. Other people pump them differently. They'll go in the center, they'll go from this side, they'll go from this side, but this is how I've had my most success. So I'll put my pump in a slight angle. In the summer I'll go down a couple of inches, I won't go much further than that. If you go much further than that, you're going to miss it. Now also, these are different to black lug. If you were to do this, what I've just done now with a black lug cast, the worm would feel the change in pressure on the sand and it would shoot down, and it would be very deep, and it would be very hard to collect. Whereas these are in a burrow, they can't go anywhere. So we're happy with this. We're in, we pump it out and we go like that, and there we go. Happy days. There's our first worm. Now unfortunately I've gone a little bit too deep there and I've cut its head off as I've gone down, but it's fine. You can still use these for bait. You just take off the guts, give it a slap on the sand, and it'll be nice and stiff. If you're using these today, you pump them, or you're using them the next day, just wrap them in paper, and there's some nice little bits there you can put on. Perfect for your flatties, absolutely perfect for your flatties. So here we have a couple of casts here. So what we're going to do is, we've said there's its worm poo, there's the hole where it breeds. We're going to go down there, we're going to go in a couple of inches because it's nice and warm, and we're going to give it 2 to 3 pumps. There you go, 2 pumps, and our worm's out. So where's our lovely worm there? Perfect free bait, can't go wrong. We'll move on to our next one, and there we go, 1 pump and she's done. So there you go, it's as easy as that. Get yourself a nice bucket of worm ready for your next fishing session. So if you wanted to store these and you weren't going fishing, say today, and you wanted to use them the next day or the day after, what you'll need to do is dry them off, wrap them in newspaper, wrap them in rolls of 5 or 10 and pop them in the fridge. I'd say wouldn't keep them any longer than 3 days because they don't really last very well. Now there are ways to freeze lugworm if you wanted to freeze them, but you need much bigger, a better stamp of lugworm. And what you'd have to do there is you'd have to dry them out, put loads of pinholes in them, let all that gunk drain out, and then you can salt them if you want, and then wrap them and then freeze them, but make sure they're nice and dry. If they're not dry, what will happen is all the moisture in the worms when it freezes, it'll make the worm expand. So all the flesh, all the meat, it'll end up coming out like snot when you defrost it. It's not good, it's not good. So make sure you dry them out. But I don't freeze lugworm, I only freeze black lug. I don't see the point. I pump enough for my session, I go fishing, and then I'm done. But there you go, guys. There's a nice easy guide on how to pump fresh blow lug. Super duper easy. Well, I say it's easy, wait until you give it a go. But like I say, if you are struggling, just change your depth and change your angle. You don't need to go too fast, just nice and chill, just relax, and you can't go wrong.